Hey everybody on YouTube. So a friend of mine recently gifted me the Vanishing of Ethan Carter Redux. I was able to play it this week, and here's my full review. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter is a horror adventure game that was released in 2014 by the Polish game studio The Astronauts. The game was recently re-released in July 2015 after being updated to the Unreal Engine 4 as The Vanishing of Ethan Carter Redux. Both versions offer the same narrative experience, with the Redux version having updated visuals, more frequent autosaves, and an added feature to avoid backtracking to finish the story. I'll be reviewing the Redux version. The visuals in Ethan Carter are definitely one of its best assets. The textures and lighting create a really nice atmosphere. The anti-aliasing in the Redux version makes for some of the most realistic indoor lighting I've ever seen. This is a short game, so each of the sections was obviously handcrafted, making it way more believable. However, the game's world is not in motion, and doesn't feel alive. Sure, leaves blow in the wind, and the water rushes down the river, but the lighting never changes. It's perpetually the same time of day, and objects generally don't move. Though when you start learning about the story, this feels right for the game. The visuals feel like you're walking around a live painting. It's vibrant and detailed, but it's a freeze frame, a snapshot of time. In the few segments where characters and objects animate, it can feel magical and mysterious, and even creepy. There's definitely a separation here. The visuals are showing you a story. You are not the director. You are just here to observe, and either intentionally or unintentionally, the graphics really set that tone. The soundtrack is really good. It creates a really creepy, mysterious vibe that really assists the visuals achieve an uneasy feeling. Though it's only 47 minutes long, I felt like the entire 3-hour experience was orchestrated. And the times of silence in between tracks can be unnerving, as if there's something around you can't hear. The game's voiceovers are decent, with the player character's performance being the best.
There are places that exist that very few people can see. Ethan could have drawn a map.
However, I found some of the other acting less than stellar, and the writing less so. Near the end of the game, one of the characters uses a few instances of some profanity, and it's not that I care about profanity, but it's weird and pulls you out of the narrative right at the end of the game. The issue the character has wasn't alluded to, and seems to be there for some kind of shock value, but the acting and general situation make it a poor writing choice. Because this game only took me 3.5 hours to complete, I don't want to get too in-depth about the story, considering that's the entire reason to play this game. In the game, you experience the world as a famed paranormal detective named Paul Prospero. You receive fan letters from a 12-year-old boy named Ethan Carter. In his letters, Ethan apparently details events that have happened in his hometown, inspiring Paul to investigate. When you arrive in Red Creek Valley, it's apparent that the town has been deserted for quite some time. In the game, you explore Red Creek Valley and use clues to discover its hidden secrets through some kind of unexplained paranormal skill. The game features several puzzles that you need to solve to figure out what happened to Ethan Carter. And that's all the gameplay it has to offer. This is what many people call a walking simulator, in the vein of games like Dear Escher and the Stanley Parable. The gameplay is only here to make the narrative more engaging. I'll admit I was a bit disappointed, because I thought the game was going to feature more unique crime-solving puzzles, but when it comes down to it, it's how all these games work. Finding enough clues, and then the game tells you what happened. I also have some issues with the creator's line at the opening of the game. This is a narrative experience that won't hold your hand. I appreciate the honesty, but it's a stupid thing to say. Sure, the game doesn't hold your hand, but it also doesn't tell you anything about its mechanics and how to solve its puzzles. I failed to solve a few mysteries early on because I had no clue I was even meant to solve them. A simple voiceover that I was missing something would have hinted that this wasn't complete, but instead you get nothing. The actual narrative of the game is interesting and definitely kept me guessing. The plot of the game only boils down to a few scenes, and the way it plays out was not what I was expecting. At times early on, I thought the story was too vague, and that it was trying too hard to be meaningful and thought-provoking. The entire story seemed like it was going to leave massive plot holes to seem more deep, but it doesn't, and the narrative you are left with is so simple that it really makes everything come together, even if the story doesn't have a big payoff. The Vanishing of Ethan Carter was an enjoyable experience. Many people debate about what a game is, and this is one of those games that will not meet everyone's definition of a game. But whatever it is, it was worth the sale price of $7. However, its retail price of $20 seems a bit steep for what you get. The narrative is good, but it lacks much depth, and the world doesn't hold enough secrets to warrant multiple playthroughs. If you can find this one on sale, I would pick it up if you're looking for a different gaming experience with a more narrative focus that you can play in a single afternoon. Otherwise, I wouldn't pick this one up. Okay, everybody, that was my video for this week. I hope you liked it. If you did, give me a thumbs up. If you didn't, I think you know what to do. Leave me a comment in the comment section and hit that subscribe button if you want to see more videos like this one in the future. I'll be doing a new video in a week or two, and I have no idea what it's going to be about, but I'll see you then.